It's very possible that yesterday, thanks to the Redskins website, this issue hit its shameful bottom. Because the deeper we get into this issue, Stephen A., to me, the less that Redskins management and ownership seem to get it. A lot of people, this trended all day on Twitter, this hashtag Redskins Pride trended all day because so many thousands and thousands of people were outraged, and they should have been. Clearly, to me, the nickname Redskins, which I now have a hard time even uttering publicly on this show, is a blatantly racist nickname. It is mind-blowing to me that the Redskins have gotten away with, as a team, using this nickname for as long as they have. So now we've completely hit bottom with a hashtag Redskins Pride, which is basically asking people to embrace the racist nickname that so many senators, so many national leaders want to go away sooner than later. So I don't know what Dan Snyder, as the owner of this team, is thinking, Stephen A. If they would just lay low and stay quiet, they would have a better chance of hanging on to this nickname than actually having the audacity, the brazen audacity, to go on the Twitter attack with this nickname. There is no pride to me in the nickname Redskins. Your response?
Skip Bayless, I completely agree with you that the Redskins, and particularly Daniel Snyder, is embarrassing himself more and more with each passing day. Not simply because of the manner in which he's choosing to handle what has regressed into a fiasco, but because of the fact that he appears to be more cowardice with each passing day because you don't see him speaking about it enough. I will give credit in all seriousness to a Jerry Jones. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, if Jerry Jones were involved in this, if a Robert Kraft was involved in this, dare I say even if Mr. Benson for the New Orleans Saints was involved in this, you would see them front and center expressing their position on this. And I'm not talking about via a statement or some orchestrated interview or anything like that. I'm talking about repeatedly ad nauseum. If you're going to be so emboldened and you're going to be so defiant in the face of growing momentum as it pertains to this name, then have the courage not to be orchestrated or choreographed. Be impromptu, speak from the heart, don't issue statements, stand front and center and say, this is my team, I paid this amount of money for it, this is our franchise, this is the research that it shows, etc., and address it like a man. Daniel Snyder has not done that, and that's my issue with him. But I will say this, that's one side of this coin. On the other side, however, let me say respectfully, I could give 2 cents what the politicians on Capitol Hill have to say. You know why? Because most of them go to Redskins games, and most of them have been supporting the Redskins and going to their games for decades. And I haven't seen this momentum grow before. I didn't hear their voices ad nauseum before, but all of a sudden, as this momentum swells, you want to jump on a bandwagon like typical politicians tend to do. Where the hell were they all of these years before? The Washington Redskins have been chilling in the nation's capital, right down the block from Capitol Hill. You walk around D.C., you see people in their Redskins paraphernalia. They've been doing the chants and everything else that comes along with it, stuff that we now have learned is racist, that is offensive, that is bothersome to a lot of Native Americans. They have been saying, they have been expressing these sentiments for many, many years. What did these same politicians have to say then? Absolutely, positively nothing. And to me, that's the kind of thing, dare I say, that makes Daniel Snyder's defiance almost acceptable and easier to stomach, because he's looking at the hypocritical tendencies of the boys down the block in the nation's capital, and he's saying, who the hell are y'all to talk to me about anything? Jumping on a bandwagon, the fair-weathered individuals that you are, you got a lot of nerves. And I understand that sentiment on his part. Now, again, you and I are of the same ilk, Skip. If it's offensive to the few, it's offensive, period. You need to address it. You ain't Native American. You can't speak to what's offensive to them. They get the opportunity to do that. And if there are an abundance of them that are saying this is offensive to their heritage, you know, their ancestry, and so on and so forth, that's good enough for me. Just like Jack Kent Cooke was being interviewed by the late, great George Michael, God rest his soul. Man, I miss that man. When he interviewed Jack Kent Cooke, and Jack Kent Cooke refused to change the name, and Charles Mann, who was a star on the team, was asked by George Michael about it being offensive. He said, it doesn't matter whether it's offensive to me or not. The fact that it's offensive to them should be enough. He said this as a member of the Redskins, and politicians still said and did nothing. So I don't want to hear from them now. The Native Americans, that's different. I certainly want to hear from them, and I want to respect their wishes. But the politicians, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in hearing what they have to say, because as far as I'm concerned, all they're trying to do is get extra camera time and press, and it means nothing to me.
Okay, I hear you about the politicians, but in our previous debate, I defended the NFL Players Association. That association has said repeatedly, we want to kind of keep an arm's length from this issue. It's not our issue. We shouldn't get directly involved in it. At some point, Stephen A., I think the players in this league need to stand together to help get this nickname removed from Washington. I don't know where else it can start except with the players, because apparently the other owners are not going to pull together to pressure Dan Snyder to remove this nickname.